The other day I saw this clip on social media and it really bothered me. And it really puts into perspective just who is benefiting from our country essentially having open borders. That's a coyote, a human trafficker, someone who is presumably a part of the Mexican drug cartel whose organization is making millions of dollars every month trafficking people to our southern border. According to a Newsweek article, the cartel can charge anywhere from a few $100s to traffic a Mexican national to 15 grand to traffic someone coming from South America. The drug cartel is actually in control of the border in many places on the Mexican side. Shouldn't this alone be enough to motivate our government to use everything they can to stop the surge at the border? This administration is enriching the drug cartel, which is responsible for a lot of the drugs that come into our country that cause the death of more than 100,000 people a year. So what are the Democrats and the Biden administration focused on? Vice President Harris went on Univision to tell everyone what the solution to the problem at the border is.
We have been proposing solutions that include proposing that $14 billion be given to what we need to do to have more judges, to have a stronger process, to determine eligibility for people staying here and for citizenship ultimately.
Their solution is to process the illegal aliens faster. How is that any kind of a solution? And she went on the largest Spanish-speaking TV channel in America to say that. That's pretty much an invitation. She's essentially saying that the problem isn't the amount of people rushing to the border, it's the fact that we can't process them faster. In my first video on the craziness happening at the border, I talked about the magnitude of the situation. Under the Biden administration, we've seen more than 10 million illegal immigrants come to our country, with most of them getting to stay in our country. In this video, I'm going to talk about the dangers of having a porous border. So I've already talked about the first danger, and that is the fact that we're making the drug cartels richer and making it easier for them to get their drugs into the country. With more people coming across the border, there are more opportunities to smuggle drugs in, and there are less Border Patrol agents to stop them. But drugs aren't the only dangerous things coming across the border. There are dangerous people coming into the country too. In New York, illegal aliens beat up 2 cops who were trying to arrest someone outside of a migrant center. Those people shouldn't be in our country. So what do you think happened to the guys? Do you think the ones that were caught were arrested and deported? Nope. Arrested and immediately released because of the no bail laws in New York. So not only are the Democrats letting these criminals into the country, they're refusing to hold them accountable when they show us that they are violent thugs. And check this out. The House just passed a bill that would establish criminal penalties for leading the Border Patrol on a high-speed chase and an officer getting badly hurt or killed. And 154 Democrats voted against it. I'm assuming the part of the bill they didn't like was the mandatory prison time and the fact that the criminal alien would be ineligible for asylum. And furthermore, those who run from the Border Patrol are definitely not the illegal aliens Democrats talk about. Democrats always describe illegal aliens as just people who are looking for a better life, and that there's no reason to assume anything else. Well, if you run from the law in a high-speed pursuit to the point officers are killed, you've established that you're not just here looking to make a better life. And still, the majority of the House Democrats couldn't support bringing a person like that to justice. The next danger I want to talk about is the danger that these unaccompanied minors are in. We assume that most of these children have been sent by their parents to find a better life in America. But some have been kidnapped and are being trafficked into the United States for nefarious reasons. And many of the kids sent here by their parents don't find what they're looking for. They end up working as cheap labor or abused by pedophiles. Again, this alone should be enough to motivate those in power to stop the surge at the border. Now, who is it that the Democrats say they're always trying to help? Black people, Hispanics, Poor people, women, anyone other than white men, really. So, how is this situation helping the less fortunate American? It doesn't, of course. Poor neighborhoods are getting poorer. Schools in those areas suffer due to the influx of uneducated, non-English speaking students that take up resources. Violent crime rates rise due to increased gang activity and overcrowding. It floods the low-wage job market with cheap labor, and it takes up resources that were intended to help Americans who are struggling. Yet somehow the Democrat Party is supposed to be seen as compassionate. Look, because our government is unwilling to stop the flow of illegal immigrants across our southern border, we'll see tens of thousands of Americans killed this year, most by drugs laced with fentanyl that was snuck into the country from Mexico. Plus, more than 1,000 illegal immigrants will be convicted of murder this year, while several thousand minors will be used as cheap labor or put into the sex trade. And the least fortunate Americans will have it harder to find a way out of the situation they're in, all while we're enriching the drug cartels. I want to end this video with a quick story. When I was working at a small company in California, my boss had me train some of the new employees. One of them was an illegal alien. He came to America when he was 10 years old. He told me one day that he used to be a bad guy, which I assumed to be the case from the type of tattoos he had on his face. So I asked him what kind of stuff he did. He told me that he robbed a lot of people when he was a teenager. I asked him how. He said what he and his friends used to do the most was to walk down the sidewalk, and when they saw an older man walking alone, he would sucker punch him with an uppercut to the chin. And then as the old man would lay there unconscious, they would take all of his stuff and run off. He said he did that dozens of times and never got caught. Now, I know that's anecdotal, but it's scary. It's scary that the people in power care more about cheap labor and importing a voter base than they do about the American people. The dangers that come with our porous southern border are real and plenty. Very bad people are benefiting from it, while the rest of us are paying for it. And that's the simple truth. Hey guys, thanks for watching. And if you all want to support this channel, check out the links in the description, and let's keep putting some common sense back into the great debate.